Hey, I'm going to show you what spinal fusion surgery is. It uses these I have these all up and down my spinal column. So in this episode, I am going to talk to you about spinal fusion surgery, and that is what I had. My name is Tammy Becker, and I am the founder of You Ministries, and I'm so glad you're joining me for the next episode. If you missed the first one, go back and find out what we're going to be talking about, because it's going to be amazing. So today I'm going to talk you through what spinal fusion surgery is, so you understand when we get to the amount of hours I was under anesthesia and why I ended up in a coma and what transpired after God brought me out of that coma. These are exactly what they use in spinal fusion. These actually came out of my back. So this screw actually is up and down my entire spine. It's in each and every vertebrae. This is a tight piece of titanium rod, and these screws that hook into the vertebrae connect the rod all the way up and down my spine. So to give you an idea, because of the camera, to show you how big this screw really is, here's a tube of lipstick, and here is the screw. You can see they're quite huge. Can you imagine? Bring it back so you can get the relevance of how big that this screw really is, that's up and down inside my whole entire back. So to give you an idea of what spinal fusion surgery is and how traumatic it is on the process, I'm going to put in a clip right now when I had the doctor go over what spinal fusion surgery was to me, to trying to get me to have the spinal fusion surgery. So keep tuned. Okay, I'm ready.
So this is a construct of the spine. It's instrumented from the high thoracic spine to the pelvis in this case. These screws are called pedicle screws. They go into the pedicles of the vertebrae, which you can see here, and then are connected with a single rod. In this case, there's a side connector. In most cases, we don't use a side connector. In your particular case, you'll have pre-contoured rods, which are bent to your anatomy, and which are all held in place with these screw caps. There will be large iliac bolts, and in your case, there will also be a fusion which is performed from the front with inner body spacers that look similar to this.
And that'll be the anterior portion.
This is the anterior part of the surgery, where the disc is removed. A spacer is placed instead of the disc, and then usually a substance called BMP is used to help one bone grow to the other bone.
Okay. And at that time, is the ones that go into the hip are placed in there at this time, same time?
Usually not. Usually that's part of the posterior surgery.
Okay.
So you can see those long bolts.
Mm-hmm.
Usually these are somewhere between 7 and 10 centimeters. They go into the iliac bone here, and then are connected to the long construct, either through a side connector, or if they can be, through directly.
Okay. And that's about the size, I mean, it's built for my back, right?
Correct. Yeah, the pre-contoured rods are built to your back and your anatomy.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Smile. Okay, now that you have seen that clip, can you believe that? I'll have another clip in the comments of an actual animated surgery that runs you through the whole thing, especially for you people suffering with scoliosis and you want to know what it's like going through it in adulthood rather than at a child, because it's way different as an adult getting this done. There's a lot more to it and a lot more recovery time for us. I'll put that in the comments below so that you can check that out as well. So as you can see, what the doctor was describing was exactly what was going to take place for me. And it was going to be in a two-part surgery. The first one ended up being the 7 hours, and the second one 17 hours. And again, they put these screws and that hardware all up and down my back. So the first surgery, what happened was we went in and he had another surgeon with him because we had to open up my front, and he did a cage building. Now this cage building became the base for everything that was going to hold my spine together. So everything had to come out of my stomach, and then he built a nice strong cage in there to take the rest of the fusion surgery. Then I rested the middle day, which was the 4th, and then on the 5th of December, that's when they did that complete spinal fusion, and it took 17 hours. And after that surgery is when I ended up not waking up. So what happened is I was under for so long that when I did come out of the surgery, as I told you in the first video, my face was so swollen up that my husband literally got sick. It was really hard for them to look at me. I didn't look like a normal person. I had scab here from being on my head resting on the platform for 17 hours. I had scab on my knees because the platform in the video I'm going to share in the comments shows where you lay like this, and then your knees are down on another platform, so they're resting on a platform down there so that they can get to your spine. And so I had scabs about, half dollar size on my knees when I woke up. And being in the coma for 6 days, I was loaded full of drugs that my body was not used to because I chose not to do painkillers before my surgery. I just didn't want to go down that road, and once I was in the surgery and I didn't come out of the surgery, I was loaded full of propofol, fentanyl, and I don't even know if I'm saying those all right, but it was horrible. My family was by my side, and they just didn't know what to do other than pray. So my friends, when my family prayed, God was listening. I was in that coma, but I was totally cradled in God's arms. I know God was saving me from that excruciating pain that probably I would have experienced for 6 days, because when the doctor got in on that second surgery, why it took so long is there was other curves that the MRIs and whatnot did not show him. It didn't show up until he actually got in there. And even though he engineered me a whole new back, it was a brilliant plan. You always have to be prepared for the unexpected. And the unexpected is I didn't wake up and nobody knew why. I just wasn't waking up. They went and took me in to get a brain scan. They wanted to see if I had a stroke or if I had a heart attack, or they could not know. They didn't know. They could not figure out what was going on with me and why I was in the coma, why I wasn't waking up. In the meanwhile, my husband is begging them to take me off of all of these drips of medication, explaining to them that I did not take painkillers before and that they were just inducing me in this coma, but I still wasn't waking up. The doctors told my sister and my husband if I didn't wake up on the 7th day that they were going to intubate me. And they were going to I was already intubated for the 6 days, but they were going to trach me, because by the 7th day they've got to get that tube out of there, or things start growing together, or you get a bacterial infection, and all kinds of things can happen. So during this time, my sweet sister was by my side, just praying in my ear, talking to me about the Lord, reminding me of my dream about YOU, and that we were going to have a ministry, YOU Ministries, and I was going to be on the Sid Roth show, and just inspiring me and praying for me and trying to get me out of this sleep, this deep sleep, this coma. Apparently I was thrashing around, and they had my arms tied down, but they couldn't wake me up. They just couldn't wake me up no matter what they did. So what happened during that time is things got really scary for my husband, because right before surgery I told him, no matter what the outcome of this is, if something happens, just let me go on home to the Lord, because don't keep me alive on any kind of machine. Just let me go and let me be at peace with it, and you're going to have to be at peace. That was my wishes. So as you can imagine, he's calling his aunt who's a nurse. He's so upset. He's calling my friends who have been through this same thing, and he just was so immersed in sadness and worry and scared, and he was turning to the Lord. But in the back of his mind, he remembered those words that I told him to just let me go. So he started calling my kids and trying to get them there. Finally, my oldest daughter got there, and they still couldn't get a hold of my youngest daughter. And they didn't know what to do. So on the next episode, I am going to take you through what God did bringing my kids together while I was in the coma. So I hope you join me for the next episode, and I hope you enjoyed seeing about this scoliosis fusion surgery and knowing that God can intervene in your life even when you don't even know what's going on in the world around you. God can answer your prayers during times when you just don't even know how great the miracle could be. So I'm Tammy Becker. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel and hit the bell, and join me next time for another episode. Hit us up over on youministries.com, and don't forget to join our Facebook group, You Ministries. See you next time.